Michael, what can we expect from this meeting? We've seen previous meetings, of course, in the White House between Ramaphosa and Zelensky that have arguably not got to script. What can we expect when it comes to the meeting between the German Chancellor and his US counterpart?
Yeah, good morning from Berlin. So when Merz meets Trump later today, I think it's fair to say it's so far the biggest foreign policy challenge for the new German Chancellor yet. He's been sworn into office less than a month ago, and so he has never met Trump in person before. So it's actually for Merz the chance to actually build the relationships if the meeting goes well. He hopes that this can be a starting point to tackle the various tricky topics that are on the agenda. Foremost trade. I mean, there's no other country that's more exposed to Trump's tariffs agenda than Germany, as one of the biggest exporters worldwide, obviously. But also on security, the United States want Europe and Germany in particular to hike the defense spending. I mean, here the Chancellor actually has something to present. He can say we're on board with the new goal that NATO is likely to agree later this month by spending up to 5% of GDP. That's a huge increase, and Merz says we can do this. So that might pave the way and prepare the ground also to agree, or at least lower the risk of more confrontation on trade and tariffs. But obviously the aides of Merz have briefed him he should prepare for anything. I mean, scenarios range from hearty handshakes like the French President Macron received, to public beratings you just mentioned. Also, I mean, we all remember the encounter of the Ukrainian President Zelensky in the Oval Office. The Chancellor is preparing for anything and hoping for the best.
And Michael, this isn't just about Germany's relationship with the US. This is also about the relationship between the EU and the US at a time, of course, of continued negotiations when it comes to trade and tariffs. So there is a broader read-through to the European Union story in terms of its relationship, Brussels and Washington, on the back of this visit, arguably.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a balancing act for Friedrich Merz here. Obviously, when it comes to the most difficult topic, trade, he knows well that it's actually not his role to negotiate, and he has made this clear in phone calls with Donald Trump that he doesn't want to, and he can't do any side deals on a bilateral level, although this is the agenda actually of the US administration, to try and do different side deals with single EU member states. But Merz and all German officials are pretty clear that they say we're trying to support the European Commission and Ursula von der Leyen in their efforts to agree on an ideally amicable solution in the really tricky and complicated trade conflict. But he will steer clear of trying to send the signal that Germany might depart from the overall strategy of the European Union. But obviously the meeting takes place in this wider context, not only in trade, but also, as I mentioned earlier, on security and higher defense spending. And Merz in the closed-door meeting with Trump will gauge the readiness of Trump to at least keep up some support also for Ukraine in military terms, because there were various signals that the Trump administration doesn't want to keep up the military support, at least not at the level that the Biden administration did in the past. So this means a higher burden, obviously, for the European allies and Germany in particular.